Hello students, in the last video I explained what is organic chemistry and what are the types of organic compounds and why a separate branch for carbon compounds, etc. Now in this video we are going to see what are hydrocarbons. Hydrocarbons are compounds made up of carbon and hydrogen only. Compounds made up of two elements, that is carbon and hydrogen, that is called a hydrocarbon. So we have carbon and carbon has got 4 valence electrons, so it will form 4 bonds, so hydrogen can combine with it, so you get the simplest hydrocarbon like this with the 4 electrons of the carbon combining with 4 electrons of the hydrogen. So the bond can be expressed with line structure also like this. So such compounds where carbon and hydrogen only are present, it is called a hydrocarbon. Now hydrocarbons are of two types. One is a saturated hydrocarbon, the other is unsaturated hydrocarbon. What is saturated, what is unsaturated? To understand this, we have a table here, just go through carefully. Saturated hydrocarbon, they have sufficient number of hydrogen atoms to satisfy the 4 valences of carbon atom. Unsaturated, they do not have sufficient number of hydrogen atoms to satisfy the 4 valences of carbon atom. Okay, here you have sufficient number of hydrogen, here you don't have sufficient number of hydrogen. Here we have only single covalent bond between any 2 carbon atoms. Here we have a double covalent or a triple covalent bond between 2 carbon atoms. Then saturated hydrocarbons are less reactive because they are satisfied. These are more reactive because they are not satisfied. Now saturated hydrocarbons undergo substitution reaction. These undergo addition reaction. Now example, we have methane and ethane as saturated hydrocarbons and ethene and ethyne as unsaturated hydrocarbons. So let us understand this. So we have methane. Methane has a carbon atom and 4 hydrogen atoms. Okay, so this is methane, right? Now ethane, carbon to carbon single bond. Okay, so we have just studied in the last video that a carbon can have 4 bonds. Now check this carbon, it has got 4 bonds with 4 hydrogens, that is sufficient number of hydrogen is there. Here we have each carbon having 4 bonds, 1 bond with another carbon, the remaining with the hydrogen, 2 carbons and 6 hydrogen. So there are sufficient number of hydrogen atoms. So the bond between 2 carbon atom is a single bond. So this is saturated hydrocarbon. Methane and ethane are saturated hydrocarbons because they have sufficient number of hydrogen atoms to satisfy the valences of carbon. There is single covalent bond between the carbon atoms. Now ethene, you see ethene. Ethene has a bond with another carbon. 2 carbon atoms are there and there are 2 hydrogens here, 2 hydrogens here, 2 hydrogens. Sufficient number of hydrogen atoms are not available. So what happens? This carbon has 1, 2 and 3 bonds. This also has 1, 2 and 3 bonds. So the 4th bond is formed between the 2 carbon atoms. So there is a double covalent bond between the 2 carbon atoms. Okay, sufficient number of hydrogen is not there and there is a double covalent bond between 2 carbon atoms. So this is unsaturated. Now here we have ethyne. Ethyne, there are 2 carbon atoms and 2 hydrogen atoms. So the formula of methane is CH4. This one is C2H6, ethane. This one is C2H4, that is ethene, and this one is C2H2. So there are 2 hydrogen atoms and 2 carbon atoms. How do they satisfy? Carbon can have 4 bonds, but only 2 are there. So there will be 2 more bonds formed between the 2 carbon atoms. You find there's a triple covalent bond. Now this carbon has 3 bond here and 1 here, 4. This carbon also 3 here and 1, 4. So 4 bonds is there. Tetravalence of carbon is satisfied, but not by sufficient number of hydrogen atoms. The more bonds are formed between carbon atom. Instead of a single bond, there is a triple bond. So this is unsaturated hydrocarbon. Now unsaturated hydrocarbons can undergo addition reaction because there are multiple bonds. Another hydrogen can be added to this. Here also you can add more hydrogen, but here you cannot add more hydrogen. So No addition on the saturated hydrocarbons, but unsaturated can undergo addition reaction. Saturated, there will be a substitution. You have to remove one hydrogen and then put another atom there. So it's a substitution reaction. Since these ones are satisfied, saturated hydrocarbons, they are less reactive. We have just seen they are less reactive, whereas unsaturated are more reactive. They undergo substitution, these undergo addition reaction. Now we have the examples. Okay, so I think you understood what are saturated and unsaturated hydrocarbons. Now, hydrocarbons are also put into a series called homologous series. What is a homologous series? It is a sequence of compounds with a general formula. There is a general formula and there is a sequence. All compounds have some similarity. The same functional group and similar chemical properties is known as homologous series. A sequence of compounds with the general formula, same functional group and similar chemical properties. That is called a homologous series. Now, successive members in a homologous series differ by a CH2 group. Between any two members, the difference is a CH2. Then hydrocarbons are put into three homologous series. What are they? Alkanes, alkenes and alkynes. Now, what are the differences? The alkanes have the general formula CnH2n plus 2. If n number of carbon are there, twice the number of 2 and hydrogen plus 2, twice the number plus 2 hydrogen atoms are there. Now, alkenes have the general formula CnH2n and alkynes have CnH2n minus 2. So, this is the series. Now, alkanes are saturated hydrocarbons. Alkenes and alkynes both are unsaturated hydrocarbons. Then alkanes have single covalent bond between two carbon atoms because they are saturated, whereas alkenes have double covalent bond and alkynes have triple covalent bond. They both are unsaturated. I hope you are understanding. Now, as we know, alkanes being saturated, they are less reactive. Alkenes unsaturated are more reactive, and these are the most reactive, highly reactive, because there is a double unsaturated, that is triple covalent bond is there. Now, saturated hydrocarbons, alkanes undergo substitution reaction. Alkenes and alkynes, they are unsaturated, they undergo addition reaction. Okay. Then examples for saturated alkanes, we have methane and ethane. For alkene series, ethene, and for alkyne series it is ethine. So these are the examples for the series alkanes, alkenes and alkynes. Okay, I hope you understood this. So you can watch this video again, and if you have query you can write on the comment section. So alkanes, we have methane. Okay, we have methane. And for alkenes, we have ethene. Okay, double bond is there. And for alkynes, we have ethyne. Okay, so these are the examples of the three homologous series. Thank you for watching.